to 10 a.m. Tuesdays to Fridays. Good morning, Ateneo. Your mornings will never be the same again.
To listen to music that uplifts the soul, follow jescom.ph on Spotify and Jescom Music on YouTube. Our music is also available on iTunes and Deezer.
Radyo-katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo-katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo-katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
If it's entertainment you crave,
catch us on
New Wave. Surfing through the latest on our shores.
Every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m.
See you there.
Radyo-katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo-katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo-katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Iwasan ang pagkakaroon at pagkalat ng sakit na COVID-19. Palagiang maghugas ng kamay. I-check ang temperatura para sa lagnat. Umiwas sa matataong lugar. Iwasang hawakan ang mukha kapag hindi pa nakakapaghugas ng mga kamay. Iwasan muna ang pagyakap, beso-beso o paghalik sa ngayon. Maging maingat, maging ligtas.
Basta't laging handa at sama-sama, kaya natin to. Hatid sa inyo ng PCOO, DOH, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Getting reliable health information about the COVID-19 outbreak can be a lifesaver. If you are not certain about what you see on social media about the coronavirus, do not share it or like it. Do some fact-checking by cross-checking sources or by visiting the World Health Organization's website. If it's proven to be false, don't hesitate to let people know by commenting and adding the source. During the COVID-19 outbreak, only trust official information sources and credible media outlets. Do not share unverified information. This is a message from UNESCO.
Radyo-katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo-katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo-katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Radyo, 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 katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. Radyo, 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 katipunan. Radyo, 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 katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle kami.
mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpa at tama. Buhay atenista sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng pera. Tulong at tulong, ipagdablu, igil, galing, giting at tigil, blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan, katipunan.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
If it's entertainment you crave,
Catch us on
New
New
Wave.
Wave.
Surfing through the latest on our shores.
Every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m.
See you there. Hello everyone, good afternoon. Coming to you on radyo-katipunan 87.9 FM via Zoom, I'm Max, and when it comes to what's happening, I'll serve you the facts. So please take this hour to sit back and relax, cause this is New Wave. So joining us today are representatives from Filipino Fashion Talk, which is a fashion community that aims to promote fashion as an interest and form of expression here in the Philippines. They're a source of memes, fashion challenges, and are a community you could hang out with to discuss clothes and anything fashion. And they've grown a lot this past year. So representing them today are Zild, Anne, and Ray. Hi everyone! How are you
Hello.
today? Let's start with Ray.
What's up? I'm feeling very fine. I woke up pretty early,
Good for
which
you.
is like 12 noon.
Oh, okay. If that in that case, we have the same definition of early. All right. Anne, how are you? What have you been up to?
I'm doing good. Currently doing some schoolwork, but apart from that, I'm doing great.
Same. And Zild?
Okay lang naman, doing great, and yung late daw nagising si Ray, ako late din nagising, pero I was supposed to jog early, but I wake up 8, but we have different definitions of time here.
Yes. That
We're on a
is
different time zone.
exactly. That I haven't seen 8 a.m. in a very long time. But anyway, so I'm excited to talk about what Filipino Fashion Talk is because I saw a lot of your videos and online content. So for the people in the audience, can you tell us what exactly Filipino Fashion Talk is, and can each of you describe it in your own words?
Yeah, so Filipino Fashion Talk, I'd like to describe it as an entry-level fashion community, because not Filipino fashion, it's not that wide yet. There's also a lot of people na when you try to dress up, there are a lot of reactions na overdress or something like that. So we want to be an entry-level fashion community to encourage people ganon na mag-dress up, and then we want to serve as a gateway drug for fashion, if that makes sense. Then ayun, we do that through posting memes and ganon, para to make it more relatable to other people. Then yung namin, community namin in Discord and IG, we just want to provide a place for people to hang out, make friends, and then talk about clothes, and safe space to nerd about clothes. Yun lang talaga yung para sa akin na what FFT is.
Nice. I understand. And to comment on your memes, a lot of them are very relevant, but I will get to that later. So, Anne, your turn.
For me, honestly, I think I found a home in FFT just because it's very inclusive. When you look at Instagram, when you look at Twitter, all of these platforms are very visual. You see a lot of mood boards, a lot of outfits, but these types of platforms don't necessarily give you the avenue to talk about more relevant issues, to talk about fashion on a deeper level. And I think that's exactly what FFT provides, because in FFT, it's not just, they don't just present a visual aspect, but also the community aspect, being able to connect to others, stir up conversations that actually are relevant. And it's through these types of active communication where you're able to form a connection with other people in like the local fashion space.
I agree with you actually, especially like now the past 2 years. I feel like a lot of us have been wanting to find communities or to find people we can talk to about the things that we like because we were heavily displaced. And like I remember one reason why I would enjoy going to school is because I like dressing up. And like, where else am I going to dress up? At the place I go every day, right? And then like something like this gives you an avenue to talk and to have reasons to dress up and have a little fashion show in your room when you want to.
Well, Filipino fashion talk for me, or as we lovingly call it, FFT, is has been a home. I've been proud to be part of this community since the beginning, like bringing it up with Zild and later on, Anne. It's been an experience for me, especially this pandemic. Like you said, it's been hard to find people to resonate with, to talk with in times of isolation, and this has been a sort of refuge for us.
Nice. And I'm glad that you brought up the beginning because I was just about to ask you to take us to the beginning, to the superhero origin story of FFT. So, how did it begin? Like, where did the idea come from? And then, how did the three of you find each other to form this community?
Yeah, so FFT started, actually dati hindi pa siya FFT, started from a Facebook meme page. I was just bored and yeah, ano, why not make a meme page kasi ayun, I'm already working and I have many spare time to ganun. So gumawa ako ng meme page. Yung old name niya is Mga Drippy Fashion Memes.
Oh,
And
okay.
yes, after ano, nagpost ng mga memes, then after some time ano, like within 1 week or 2 weeks of creation ng page, ano, naging viral then then after nun, naisip kong gumawa ng community kasi I was like, I can't keep making memes forever. So ayun, naisip ko lang na since nagkakaroon na ng audience, then why not use this opportunity to make a community. Then ayun, I keep on ano, tatawag ko kay Ray is Stark kasi nasanay kami
Oh.
Yun yung Discord name ko.
sa Discord name niya, ano, Stark. So medyo na ano ako pag sasabihin ko yung pangalan niya kasi Stark ako sanay. Okay, is it okay if I call him
Of
Stark?
course, of course.
Yeah, so ayun, nagkakilala na kami ni Stark dati sa we were on a fashion Discord din na medyo streetwear focus, and then we talk about it, gawa tayo ng ganito na hindi lang streetwear focus. We'll make a space na pwede kahit anong style, mapa streetwear, Y2K, avant-garde, whatever kung anong gusto mo, yung pwede kang mag-share dito. And then I think one other problem na common sa dating communities na existing is that other genders might not feel safe. A lot ng mga ibang groups, lalo na pag streetwear groups, kapag girl yung nagpo-post, tends to have a lot of thirsty comments.
A lot of simping, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the primary thing that we wanted to avoid with FFT, because we noticed in some groups it was mainly male dominated.
Oh, okay.
Like really male dominated, and the few women that were able to put themselves out there, to spotlight themselves in communities like this, mostly they're just seen as thirst icons. But
okay.
yeah, we wanted to make a space where everybody can equally enjoy fashion and post their outfits and everything. And that's how that's how FFP came to be, and that's what we're continuing on. Like we're striving to be a community for every gender, whether you're male, straight, gay, or trans, whatever you are, whatever you identify to be. We don't care. As long as you like clothes, you're with us.
That's great.
And actually, like, just to add on that, if you look at the numbers of FFT members right now, the disparity between male and female is actually quite equal. Like, it's not like other communities where it's 90% male, 10% female, but in FFT, it's actually quite equal. So I think we're actually able to live that talk, to walk the talk, I mean.
That's great. And I
Yeah.
was going to say, it's nice that when you built this online community, you really valued like the safety of each member, because that's something that's a little harder to check since we're online. And that's something we really need in an online community. So, and to bring this a step further, I heard from Ray a while ago that you joined the team a little later. So how did this happen?
So I guess back when the server was still really new, there were around 100 members, and that's around the time I joined. I first found out about the Discord server because it was being advertised on the Facebook page, like the post they had encouraging people to join the Discord basically. So that's where I joined. And I guess to give you a better background about myself, I've actually been active on another fashion server as well. Though it wasn't streetwear based, it was actually high fashion based, and it was an international fashion community. But the problem with this international fashion community was that there weren't a lot of fellow Filipinos that I could talk to about fashion. So, but they were centered on discussion as well. So when I found out about the FFT Discord, I guess I was quite pabibo because like I wanted to hop on, share my opinions, share my insights, and just really get to know the local community on Discord. So that's really how I came to join FFT.
I see why you really consider it your home. So, individually, where did your love for fashion come from? Because I see passion for it in all of you. So, where did it come from for each of you?
So, main thing about me is I love sneakers, like basic bro. Love Jordan ones, love Jordan ones. Converse, Chuck Taylors, but that's just where I focus on with fashion. And for the tops and the bottoms, I mostly focus on really basic stuff to let my footwear shine. Mostly my rotation, if I ever do get out of the house, is mostly my Chucks, my Jordans, and my Rick Owens Geo baskets and my Ramones. Yeah, that's pretty much. I like standing out from the crowd, but not in a really loud way. I just want them to look at my shoes and be like, "Oh, I know that shoe. Like I nice shoe, pare. Nice kicks." like that. I don't really want because I know I only like teas because ang init sa Pilipinas, and saludo sa mga nagsasakripisyo na nagle-layering sa Pinas, pero that's not me. So yeah, TLDR, I like shoes.
I agree with you. I love shoes.
Actually, if I want to talk about paano nagsimula yung interest ko for fashion is that before kasi I was being teased for being overweight. Yeah, scary times. Ayun, so eventually dahil inaasar ako ng ganun, I tried to lose weight, and then after that gusto kong makahanap ng ways to express myself, and then eventually I found fashion, then started interest sa clothes. Started with thrifting kasi college, walang budget, thrifting, and then kung may makitang cheap online deals, ganun. I'd say na I mas naging deeper interest ko around 2018 or 2019. Yeah, so ngayon my personal style would just be I center around pants, like good pants, pag good pants satisfied ako, ganun.
For me, I guess I got into fashion originally because I had that sort of rebellious phase where I didn't want to be like others. So super cliche, but I think a lot of people do have this phase. And for me, I started getting into more grunge fashion, like Nirvana, flannels, those types of that type of like era. I think people call it the Tumblr fashion era, but in my case, I actually never used Tumblr. I just found out about it because it trickled down to like other social media pages. And from there, from like the grunge aesthetic, I got deeper and deeper into fashion, mostly because I felt I'm naturally a very curious person, and I like digging deeper into things, especially if it catches my attention. And fashion just kind of provided that avenue because with fashion, you're really exposed to different types of people, different types of genres. And there's just so much to explore. Like you have the streetwear scene, you have the high fashion scene, and even sustainable fashion, or you get to see differences between fashion in the West and even fashion in China, in Japan, in Korea. So that really just got my attention. And I also felt that my life during junior high school was pretty repetitive. Like I just go to school, when I come home, I'd study, very academic, something like that. And there wasn't really room for creativity in that sort of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So when I went on the internet and saw these types of people just expressing themselves, I guess it made me want to express myself too and really be part of a community.
One goal of FFT is to bring people together through fashion, which we've been talking about. And one thing you guys do well is you foster community. And you've been bringing up your Discord server. And like based on what I see in your page, I see the contests and the features you have, which end up on YouTube also. So how do you think of these initiatives that bring people together?
I have to be honest, minsan yung mga challenges and other stuff, minsan naiisip lang namin, like randomly, like, gawa tayo ng contest this month, ganun. Medyo nag-i-start pa lang kami actually this year na magplan ng properly. But the past year na since creation and the past year, mostly by feel lang yung ginagawa namin, like post tayo ngayon, ganun. I don't know,
It's okay.
parang medyo messy tingnan, but yung sa features ng Fits of the Week, for example, we just have proper what do you call this, proper setup na, for example, if people vote for this outfit posted, like if for example there's 17 people who voted, then and it will be featured in the Fits of the Week, stuff like that. Then sometimes we post memes, like it's dependent sometimes on the conversations in the Discord server. For example, there are people talking about something, then there's some funny moments, then screenshot it or make a meme out of it, and then repost it sa IG or FB. So that's how I think what happens. And I don't know if yun din perception nila Stark and
Yeah, we mostly want to feature content that comes from the community itself, because we don't just want to make content for ourselves. We want to showcase what the very talented people in our community, fashion-wise, anyway. Wala pa kaming talent competition. Maybe in the future. FFP got talent.
That's something we'll look forward to. And anything you want to add?
Actually, it's quite the same for me. I do think though that just having the freedom to post whatever the community submits kind of gives us the agility to move around more quickly, because I think one of the things that really helped us become like a solid community is just not having a super formalized system that delays posting of content, because that way we're just able to move more quickly and post content that we see fit. At the same time, like we also try to engage the community more by introducing conversation starters. Like for instance, we're gonna tag everyone, and then we have like a short prompt that people could answer. And I guess an inside joke in FFT is that we tend to ping people a lot. Ping is when you mention them, basically. But you know, if it works, it works, and we're able to really get new people not to break out of their shell and just try to interact more with the community. So I guess that's really great.
Yeah, add ko lang like because yun nga sabi ni Anna, there's not parang wala masyadong formal structure. I guess that makes it more organic in a way because yeah, kung ano yung napag-usapan like sa Discord, then yun, it might become a meme or something then or ganon. Yeah, so I think that's also the reason why we have grown a lot in the past year because what we post is usually what the people are talking about sa community namin. So yeah, it feels organic that way.
As we slowly expand though, I think we're also starting to put like systems in place, like division of tasks just so everyone can help each other out and really grow the community. Ultimately, I think for us, our goal is just to improve the community as a whole.
Like, I think the spontaneity you guys have going right now is one reason why the community became so tight, because there's that feeling of we're all friends here. This is like a community where we can all talk to each other. So, moving from Discord, let's head over to YouTube. The concept of your videos are entertaining, like the thrift in Tagaytay video, the like under 500 pesos, under 1 5 pesos. The fun of it being a challenge, like, okay, you have to stay within this budget, and seeing like how creatively people work around it. It's very interesting, especially when it comes to clothes. So, that being said, who participates in these videos? Who like decides, okay, for this video, this is what we're going to do, and who decides like, okay, for this, who's going to join? Since I've seen all three of you in those videos.
Usually usually who participates are kung sino yung available because kung sino rin yung may budget because we are not really funded yet. So we just ask our team like sino may pera ganito and then sino available at this time. Film tayo ganon. And minsan I ask them kung anong gusto nilang gawin na challenge din. Usually I try to I'm also the one editing the video, so
wow.
Ayun, so ako yung nag-iisip ng concept and flow ng video para pag i-edit ko. It's easier for me to do the editing. And actually back then yung mga first few videos namin it's like hindi pa kami nagkikita nun in real life actually because during that time it's like the height of the pandemic that time. And what I did was just nagbigay lang ako ng instructions kinaan like do this ganito ganyan, film nyo lang to, then ako na bahala mag-edit. Then ayun, actually ngayon sa FFT YouTube we're planning more stuff to do like reaction videos and that para we can put out more content consistently because the current problem with our YouTube right now is that the upload times is masyadong matagal yung intervals because masyadong dependent sa free time na pwede kami magsama-sama lahat. And that's why we're planning to do reaction videos na pwedeng i-film ng isang tao lang, then yun.
There's a lot of time to think about that. But good job with the editing, because I remember being really impressed with how the fashion videos were all edited together, and like even the B-rolls and stuff, like those were really cool. So how involved are the community members in making these videos? Like, do you ask for volunteers to join, like when you film, or like if you're in a certain location, do you say who's here, join us with filming?
There's a video na gumawa kami nag-ask kami ng volunteers for yung episode. We had an episode na we had a fashion designer na magre-rate ng outfits ng people in the FFT community, and what we did was just announce it sa Discord server like may fashion designer na na is a pretty big one na nakapag-design na sa para sa mga Miss Universe ganun.
Mhm.
We got him as a guest, then kung gusto niyo sumali, film your outfit, introduce yourself, tapos ayun, we just got submissions from people, then we included that in the video. So ayun, usually you can really see the community aspect ng FFT sa mga ganitong bagay because ayun, uh, we just had to announce it, then we got a lot of submissions. Yun.
Yes. So I was going to ask something from that video because the designer that you mentioned is Carl Acusas. He has designed for like Miss Universe and like for a lot of other celebrities that we know. And one thing that he said in the video is you can use fashion to show the world who you are, and you can also use fashion to conceal who you are. So how does this apply to you, or what do you think about this one thing he said? So I'll start with Ray of House Stark.
Ray of House Stark. Use fashion to conceal yourself and to express yourself more. The thing I see about fashion is bridging on what Carl said. It's more of a catalyst for your whatever endeavor you want to take fashion with. Like you just want to express yourself more, want to put yourself out there. You can use fashion for that. You can wear bright colors and everything, wear like wide silhouettes. But if you just want to like blend into the background, like I do, just wear muted colors or tones and everything. Like it's really a form of expression. Like no matter how simple it is, like wearing a muted beige tee, like there's a lot that goes into that. And I know it kind of sounds like oh, corny naman, pretentious, but that's genuinely what most of us feel about fashion. It's not just something. It's not just clothes. Like you wouldn't say that about photography, right? Like it's just pictures. Like it's clothes for us is what hobbyists. We're basically hobbyists of fashion. Like we view it on a more deeper, expressive level than just fabric.
I guess just to add to Stark, it's not to say that everything about clothing has to be deep. Like it's okay to be into fashion without getting to the super nitty and gritty information side, because like at the end of the day, fashion is just something people go to enjoy, whether it's dressing up to look better, to enjoy themselves, or dressing up for others because they want to impress others, which I add isn't necessarily a bad case. Like it's okay to dress up to get validation of others, because ultimately when you dress up for others, it's also dressing up for yourself, because that's what you want people to see you as. But I guess in my case, going back to what you were saying about fashion being something to conceal yourself as well, for me, it's definitely the opposite. I see fashion as something to express myself, because I did mention growing up, like I was very academics first, so there wasn't a lot of room to do other interesting things. And that's what fashion kind of provided me with, just being able to explore creativity, do something that was a little bit more different.
I get yung aspect no yung you can conceal yourself with fashion, like what Ray said earlier. But for me personally, then I'm kind of like I agree to Anna for personal reasons. Like actually, I'm an awkward person, and di sanay makipag-socialize. Like, I'm the type of guy na who won't approach you first because mahiyain ako, and then people will ayun, I get friendly lang kapag in-approach na ako. So, dati I like finding clothes na interesting and kakaiba because it can be a good conversation starter for different people. Like, yeah, so ayun, parang yun, parang ayun, hindi ko siya ginagamit as pang conceal because it can be a conversation starter with friends or people. Like, uy, ano, saan mo yan nakuha, ganun. yan. And I actually relate to that, yung having a bad day, then kahit nga minsan kahit hindi ko isuot, just seeing the stuff that I bought. I don't know. Minsan ano kasi,
I understand.
like growing up, di masyadong binibigyan ng pera sa mga hobbies na ganun. And I'm now working. So just looking at the stuff that I bought, it's like an achievement for me. So, ayun, just when you're having a bad day, then just looking at your clothes or shoes, then yeah, you appreciate where you are in
Mm-hmm.
life when
Yes,
when
that's
you
right.
get to see that.
I agree with that. And like, you know that feeling where you've been wanting this certain, like, let's say jacket or bag for so long, and then you just hang it up in front of you, and then you're like,
Yeah,
yes, I love it.
yeah,
Happiness boost. Even if you're just at home, like the past 2 years, like we've just been at home, but then you see it and you're like, yes, you.
yeah.
We talked about a sense of community fostered by FFT. We talk about like the fun it gives also. But what else does FFT advocate for? Like, are you supporters of like slow fashion, which or thrifting, which I think was mentioned earlier? Things like that.
So in terms of advocacies, I guess the most obvious one is definitely inclusivity. Like we did mention it a lot about how we're really open to different genders, different styles. So just that in general, we're trying to foster a community that's not judgmental. It's a place where you get to express yourself, meet other people, and even if, for example, even if you're a streetwear person, you get to be able to form a connection with someone who's into avant-garde, because at the end of the day, FFT doesn't just talk about clothes. You also talk about like everyday topics, and I think that's really where the connection lies. And as you mentioned as well, a lot of people within our server um prefer thrifting. So I guess in a way we also do advocate for slow fashion sustainability, just because thrifting is inherently better than like buying brand new from like H&M or Zara.
Bridging on what Anne said, yung sa inclusivity, we don't really have we don't really have yet like a set advocacy. Like there are members of us that are into sustainability. Like for Anne, for example, there are members of us that are into we call it that are against fast fashion. And I guess what we've been forming our platform is for all of these people with different opinions on fashion to be able to talk together in a open and safe space without much hostility. Like whenever we have debates on sustainability, for example, we make sure that both sides get a say in it because we value both opinions. And like we are a pretty much an open platform for anything fashion related.
I don't know if yung advocacy ba talaga, but usually I tend to notice na when sa mga lalo na sa ibang fashion communities na kapag magkaiba ng style, like, oh, you like this brand, then you like a certain another brand, it's like people need to be against each other agad. So an example is yung pag streetwear and avant-garde, like there are some people who don't get along kapag ganon. Then ayun, parang I I want to make a place na people with different styles like can be friends with each other kasi
That's right.
it's pretty common sa Instagram and other fashion communities na roasting each other because they have different just because they have different styles. But here in FFT we try our best na to find friendships even if you have different styles. Like for example, magkaiba kayo ng style, but you might be interested in the same film, movies.
Yes.
That's what makes it parang easier for other people to mingle with each other kasi ayun, like I said kanina na may certain toxicity sa social media na pag you don't like this outfit, automatically dislike mo na din yung tao. I don't know if other people notice that, but I notice it a lot, so that's why isa yun sa gusto kong maging isa pretty big mission for FFT.
Because being different doesn't mean needing to shame someone, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's something that your community is able to help out with. So, on our topic of fashion, and we've been talking about like how fashion is more than fabric. It's not just clothes. It can be a way of expressing ourselves. It can be a way of bonding. You can think really out of the box for this question. But what issues can fashion solve?
I was able to think of one actually. Well, two. I was able to think of two. Um, Instead of posing it as what issues can fashion solve, we can also ask what issues has fashion solved. And I think if you look at history, which I think is really interesting because yeah, like there's also fashion history. It's not just clothes, right?
Yes,
When you
yes.
look at history, a fun fact is that during World War II, a lot of people were very disappointed because of the economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that just gave people hope was fashion. For instance, Christian Dior, what he did to the usual attire of women back then was that he removed the corsets, which felt more liberating, right? So there was this like new look, that's what they call it. There was this new look that people could look forward to that they wanted. So even if you look outside, the war had just ended, resources were very scarce. I guess fashion provided an avenue for people to just forget about their problems and just be obsessed with something different. And even if you look
Yes.
at Belgium, for instance, like in Antwerp,
Mm-hmm.
when you think of Antwerp or Belgium, the first thing you might think of is, oh, isn't that the country with like the city with like chocolate, stuff like
Yes.
that. But what people might not know is that one of the things that helped Belgium's economy as well is when they introduced fashion in a more intellectual approach. They placed like avant-garde fashion on the streets, on billboards, and then that like public stunt got people thinking, it got people talking, and that's how Belgium right now is a part of the fashion map globally. So, and in contemporary times right now, I think a lot of people would say that like most industries, if not all industries, have been affected. Fashion did too, but the thing with fashion is that it's quite luxury fashion at least is quite resilient to the pandemic. Like if you check the sales of Gucci, of LVMH, they've only skyrocketed, and it really shows you that like in times of trouble, people do look for fashion as a source of entertainment, as a source of happiness.
Very well said. And I think it's cool that you brought up fashion history. Like, there was a lot to learn from that. And I guess it also pointed out the way that fashion has really been a landmark for historical events. So, very well said. Who's ready to answer?
Can I go?
Of course, go
Go,
ahead.
go, go.
I yeah, I feel na medyo mababaw yung sagot ko dahil sa previous answer. De, joke lang. But yeah, don't have to look for what issues can fashion solve. Like this nung height ng pandemic, FFT was created, and then I think for a lot of people it solved the issue of isolation, and then be feeling alone because like madaming tao yung naging home yung FFT during that peak of pandemic na hindi talaga yung kasi right now restrictions are easing, but back then when it was created, medyo mahigpit pa. So a lot of people found friends through the community. So yeah, I think fashion can bring people together, and you can find friends through fashion, and that's what people are doing right now inside our community. Like they're having their own meetups, like some people thrifting together. Minsan may magugulat ka na lang na mag-send sila ng picture sa server na magkakasama sila, like they thrifted, nag-SM sila, ganun. So yeah, I think we don't need to look for fashion can bring people together. Yeah.
So I guess what issues can fashion solve? Thank you for that wonderful question. Sure. Pero I think personally, what I think fashion is we can consider it as an art form. And like people diss on the arts as much, like why would you study the arts? Why would you go into bachelor's minors degree when you can be a bachelor of science? Like you can take up engineering, you can take up architecture. But how boring would the world be without art, right?
Yes.
And then to an extension, fashion. Like the arts aren't just pretty things to look at. Like art is an expression of our human experience and condition. It's one of the only ways that we can share our experiences, like with a deep emotional connection, and that's what I think fashion can provide, but and as an extension of the arts, if we view fashion as the arts anyway, but I do, but we can like science can explain things, but it doesn't make us feel things outright.
I think it's also worth noting that like art and fashion isn't exclusive to its own field. Like when you talk about engineering, when you talk about math, science, other fields such as those can also be applied to fashion. Like engineering, for instance, you're able to engineer the fabric to look a certain way, to hold a certain way. And oh, here's another one. So you talked about fashion being able to solve problems, right? I guess when you apply engineering, for instance, or biotechnology in fashion, you might just be able to solve the problem of sustainability as well. Because for clothing, for instance, they contain a lot of polyester. When you wash them, a lot of microplastics end up in the oceans, in the rivers. So maybe like in some time in the future, when you try to mix fashion with engineering, biotechnology, we might just be able to produce clothing that has less impact towards the environment.
Love it. Everyone gets a crown. Yay. So, actually, on sustainability and consciousness, what are things we can keep in mind to become more ethical and responsible shoppers when it comes to shopping for our clothes?
I guess fashion inherently is a very consumer-centric industry. So if you really want to tackle like the sustainability problem of it, the best way is really to just limit the amount of clothing you purchase per month or per year. It's not to say that you shouldn't buy clothes outright, but rather you can choose what you want to buy, whether it's choosing quality over quantity, reusing the clothing you already have, upcycling, thrifting, those kind of things.
Yes.
But I think, in my opinion at least, the first thing to try to tackle is, as a consumer, is to limit the amount of clothing you purchase. On the production level, well, that's a whole new story because production side is more on corporations forming solutions to combat it. Like using blockchain, for instance, could be a solution for fashion sustainability on the production side. But yeah, that's like a whole different other topic.
For ayun, sa being on the consumer side, I think people should try to really think if they really want the item that they are buying. So yeah, quality over quantity, and also avoiding impulse buys, I think, is the best. Really thinking about an item if you really want it. Not just because it's available or cheap right now,
Or it's
doesn't
on
mean
sale.
yeah, ayun, minsan yung just because it's on sale, automatic buy. Really think about it if you're gonna wear it. Also ayun, thrifting, mas friendly sa environment ang thrifting, but of course it's not entirely environmentally friendly because I don't know if ibang topic na to, but yung pag-transport ng mga thrifted stuff is also another problem, but yeah.
Because sometimes like they're shipped from like planes or cargos.
Yeah.
Fuel being emitted.
All right, I'm learning. So last, Ray?
I defer to that because I think we share the same opinions on sustainability. Like I was on the sustainability side during that debate, but mostly I think the majority should be like the majority of the responsibility should fall to the people that mass produce fashion in the first place. So we should like it's okay to do micro things like buying less or consuming less and consuming responsibly. Like I also do that, but I think that we should hold companies more accountable to this stuff, like we have been. I think steps towards to that topic are being taken, and I personally like seeing. Like I get happy when I see headlines na parang, oh, this fast fashion company was called up for this, and uh, they're making sure to be more sustainable, ganun. And they're using like for Nike, they're using recycled microplastics in their uh, like in their soles and in their uppers. And yeah, I think basically companies do more, please.
I think as well
So
that because sometimes like companies have to adhere to certain standards,
Mhm.
certain like ESG standards, environmental standards. But the thing with sustainability in fashion is that there isn't really a set standard for companies to follow. So sometimes like it leads to greenwashing where companies claim that, oh, we're being more sustainable. Like for example, this pants or this jacket made from vegan leather is more sustainable. When you talk about like more sustainable, it's really hard to say if it's sustainable or not, just because we don't really have a standard as to what sustainability in fashion is.
I think that's something we can all keep in mind and hopefully a lot more people start to think about. Let's talk about Filipino fashion. So what would you say is unique to Filipino fashion?
Miss Universe na naman. I guess the obvious, like the most common answer would be the textiles, like the indigenous textiles that we use. Like we have really unique patterns that we are employing more, but I think we should employ more in certain fabrics like yung sa barong. I think we should have more casual wear with that sort of but I think it would be more expensive. But I think we just need to explore more. With the majority of the most fashion forward people, quote unquote, on in the Philippines is most of them do subscribe to European and Western, mostly Western standards of fashion. Like, let's get it out of the bag, and I think it's okay. I think we can use that as a platform for making our own brand, like our own unique brand that can stand toe to toe with the fashion giants of like the West, like Korea, Japan, and the States, and Paris, France. I think we can use our current subscription to those standards to make our own, make our what we can consider uniquely Filipino trend.
Filipino fashion, I think it's a little bit more difficult to talk about just because like when you search Filipino fashion online, a lot of the times we don't even have a lot of photographs of them just because they're lost in our history. People don't keep those photos, and because we do have a mentality of wanting to subscribe to Western fashion. So when we talk about Filipino fashion, it's a little bit more difficult to discuss, but what I hope for it to become at least is to have its own distinctive image.
Yes.
So for example, when you talk about Filipino fashion, maybe a lot of people would think, oh, traditional garments, barong Tagalog, barat saya. But then when you mention like for example, Parisian fashion, there's a lot of things that might pop into your mind, whether it's like brands, silhouettes, stuff like that. And I think that's what the Philippines might still be lacking, just that diversity. And I think the cause of this lack of diversity or distinctive image or images rather is that our fashion landscape isn't as developed compared to other countries. So, but I do think that you never know. Maybe Filipino fashion talk would be an avenue for people to just get into fashion more, and hopefully help the Philippine industry grow more so that we get to find our own distinctive identity.
Actually, I think yung Filipino fashion right now, especially sa menswear, is not it's not like Ann said, it's not that yet developed. But for women's wear, I think their women's wear is in a better place because we all have these talented designers na they have their platform lalo na sa Miss Universe. They can show off their work there. Like yeah, because and just feels like women's wear have more advantages right now sa Filipino fashion compared to menswear because I have to be honest, I don't know that much about Filipino menswear. You get to see more news about women's wear in the Filipino fashion scene, and then so ayun, yeah, like what they said kanina, when people think of Filipino fashion, we already automatically think of barong patterns and such, but I think there are more references that we can do, such as contemporary or everyday life na references. Like there's this one jacket that I like na from a local designer. Her name is Pamadlang Bayan. She made a balikbayan balikbayan box jacket, and
Oh.
I think that's really great because it's a reference
Yeah.
sa ano sa normal sa current Filipino culture na hindi masyadong dependent sa traditional. I'm not saying that traditional is bad. It's just that for everyday for everyday wear, I think mas mas maganda kung it's more relatable to the people. Yeah, like like that jacket I said. Meron din isa pang local brand. I forgot the name of the local brand, so please forgive me if I'm wrong. But I think it's Hysteria Supply. I think they have a button-down shirt na it looks like a calendar na yung very Pinoy calendar na design, and I think that button-down shirt is really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that this 2022, hopefully.
That's
And
great.
since we're already talking about like local designers, I think it would be nice if the Philippines could come to a point where a lot of consumers are able to identify and know local brands, because currently,
Yes.
like, maybe when you ask people, oh, where do you shop, it's mostly online, Instagram, thrifting, Zara, H&M, the very usual like stores and things. But when you ask about local designers, I think it's a little bit less known. So hopefully we come to a point where more people know about it, especially since we do have a lot of really talented local designers. Some
Agreed.
and in FFT, I remember there was a designer, Jaggy Glarino, if you guys know. I remember he was also promoting his designs on FFT, and that's really how I learned about his brand. And I saw how talented, how amazing his creations were. So it's also really great that FFT as a platform could be used to help designers reach out to a larger audience.
I'll move on to our last question before we get to our audience questions. Something that people often discuss online in regards to fashion is cultural appropriation versus cultural appreciation. So, from the perspective of the three of you as FFT members, when does appreciation for cultural fashion become appropriation? What should we watch out for?
For me, there's a distinction between appropriation and appreciation. I guess it depends on the level of research and the credit you give. So, for instance, like, this is very recent. There was a recent news where a Western designer sort of used basahan, like, you know how basahans have a certain weave to
Yes,
them,
the
right?
weaving. The
Yeah.
basahan.
So the Western designer kind of used this type of pattern for their creations, and like a lot of Filipinos were quite mad about it because they felt it was being appropriated.
Yes.
With cases like that, I think it could depend on whether or not the designer knew where the pattern came from. So if she didn't, maybe it was just an honest mistake. But if she did, I think it would have been better if she gave credit to the local coaches that actually produced them, that from where it actually originated. And at the same time, aside from like giving credit to where it's true, I think just really trying to understand the context of where that design comes from and using it appropriately, in the sense that you don't mix it with like other cultures, or you don't use it in a wrong sense. And for us to get to that point where it's used more appropriately, you really have to do a lot of research into the cultures, I feel.
To add to that, I think aside from giving credit, I think it will also be helpful kung for example yung example ni Ann, if it was like parang makikipag-collaborate sa local Filipino workers who do that kind of patterns, then I think it would be more acceptable. But of course, hindi yung makipag-collaborate, but more na exploitation. Of course, people should be paid a fair wage kapag makipag-collaborate. I think Kapag yung ganun, kunwari, you are a foreign brand, then you want to make a collection about a certain fabric, ganun. It's important to collaborate with the local people who are what do you call this? Who are involved with that culture or fabric. Then of course you should pay them fairly, because um it's kind of wrong to not pay them fairly. It's like
Of course, of course.
it's exploitation. Yeah.
I agree with Ann and Zilt that number one, we should give them credit. Number two, we should pay them fairly. Like we owe it to them. Like if we're going to be using their, for example, like a certain indigenous tribes signature textile pattern. If we're going to be using their cultural heritage in our own capitalistic endeavors, the least we could do is pay them a fair wage. But I
Yeah.
think we should take it up a step more personally. Like we should bring more awareness because we're going to be using their textiles anyway. We're going to be using their culture for us to make money in the to put it bluntly for our capitalistic endeavor nga naman. We should take it a step at a notch more, a notch up, and
Yes.
raise awareness to their tribe, for example, to their indigenous group.
Yeah, I think also really research is important, because some things shouldn't be
Touched.
touched. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Because kahit na magbayad ka, if it's really disrespectful, then it's not the end of the world if you can't use that fabric. Or so yeah, just use a different fabric. Kung after doing the research, it's really sacred for that culture and
Yes.
you shouldn't touch it. So yeah, there's a lot more things sa mundo na pwede mong gawan ng clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, to sum it up, I guess like it's really about asking permission, credit where credit is due, and of course being responsible enough in research.
Yeah.
All right, so to lighten things up, we will be entertaining the audience questions, and we have a lot of audience questions. So to start, we'll go with one of the quick ones from underscore Siege, CCEEJ. What is the color of the year for fashion?
It's always been black. Black is very prominent,
Black?
especially in high fashion circles, like high fashion trends. It's mostly been monochromatic.
Actually ako for kung yung question is asking for personal, I think I'm loving green right now. Green and violet, ganun. Also some blues. Yeah. Madami akong binili ngayon recently na in that color.
Blue is close to very berry because like the shade of very berry is like purple that's like almost blue. So great. Anne, anything to add?
I guess if we're talking about like global perspective, maybe more on like monochromatic or like neutrals, just because I think I see it a lot on like Instagram or TikTok where a lot of people say, oh, if you're quite lazy, then just throw on like a monochromatic outfit and it'll all work out. But if you're asking me like personally, I think same with Ray, like black or white, just because like it's super simple and it matches with everything basically.
Never goes out of style. So from the same Instagram user, take this question as you will. What is hot and what is not?
What is hot? Jackets. What is not? T-shirts.
Wait. Okay lang ba ako ulit sunod?
Of course, of course.
Color. What is hot color? I'm really starting to get more color in my fits. Maybe since obvious naman for the two of them kasi they know that I'm a Kiko stan, so I like color. So yeah, Kiko is my favorite designer, so he uses a lot of color. So what's not hot for me is black and white.
Civil War, FFT.
See, two contrasting opinions, all friends having a healthy discussion.
Yeah.
And
Well, for me, what's hot? Definitely black and white. It's because my favorite designer is Ande Mister. So a lot of their clothing is focused on like black and white mainly. There are like colors like red, but like I guess black and white is really versatile. So that's what I would go for. And I also really like layering, like vest, button ups, um, stuff like that. So yeah, super into those types of layering. What's not, I I honestly I don't think I can answer this just because for me fashion is very subjective. Like what I like might not be someone's cup of tea. So I don't think there is a definitive answer to what's not hot. Yeah.
You know, to add what you said about layering, I also love layering. I really like how it looks. Like a lot of like my fashion inspirations include layers. It's just so hard to do here because of the
Yeah.
weather. So like I'm waiting for colder weather or to magically appear in a colder country to be able to wear coats and vests and scarves. Okay, so from J underscore Costa, what are the factors to consider in matching clothes or styling oneself?
Okay, Jay Costa, the realist. Let's get it out of the way. Matching. What should you consider when you match?
Just for black and white, it'll all work out.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree.
I think we monochromatic people defer to the Mr. Colorful Zild.
Actually, I'm not really that creative sa matching. I just watch just watch runways and then kunin yung ideas or Pinterest. Pag may nakita akong gusto ko sa Pinterest na, uy, cool color combination to, then I'll head up sa upstairs, then take a look at my clothes, then try out the color combo. Ayun. Ayun, actually talking about it now, may naisip na akong sagot. Sometimes, sometimes skin tone, babagay, for personally, may hindi bagay sa akin na colors. Like pale yellow, I don't like pale yellow on me. So for the one who asked the question, try to consider that I'm not saying any rules or stuff because I don't believe in specific rules na people have to follow because fashion is a personal journey that you have to know by yourself. So yeah, explore mo lang, then yeah, generally yun yung bibigay kong tips para sa lahat, like look at a lot of images, Pinterest, runways, Instagram, then try it yourself. Before buying, try mo muna with the stuff that you have. Tingin ka muna sa closet mo to be sustainable. Tingin muna sa closet, and then pag nakita mong bagay sa then good, meron ka ng bagong idea. Then if hindi bagay, don't worry, marami ka pang makikitang inspiration that you can try again.
And to get into it scientifically, you can always use the color theory naman. For like
Color
complementary
wheel.
colors, triadic colors, yeah, like Canva, let's go.
I thought you were gonna tell us to search up a color wheel, and you said Canva color schemes.
There is
Goodbye.
if you look up color wheel, the first search result is the Canva color wheel. That's why I mentioned Canva.
And then it gives you the palette options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you wanna get really intricate with that, you can just color theory.
Challenge idea yan, pwede yan, Canva.
Aha.
Canva challenge.
Stay tuned, FFT. Stay tuned. Okay, so from Happy Art PH on Instagram, what fashion trends are Filipinos into nowadays?
Like generally a lot of people have been into like white button-ups and then a vest with like some sort of checkered print, and then like many plaid skirts or like skater skirts, and then those rectangular bags.
Yeah, the baguette bag.
Yeah, baguette bag. A lot of people are into that, mainly because of TikTok and maybe Instagram, but well, for FFT at least, there's a lot of people who are into different things. So for us, it's really diverse, to be honest.
Medyo kokontra lang ako about I mean diverse in styles, but there's one common thing na nasa FFT na, well, like it's boots.
Boots.
People in FFT love their boots. uh, well, there's even a meme na inside joke sa members na pag naka-boots ka, featured ka sa Feats of the Week.
Ano yun? Flared denim siya naka-boots?
Ayun.
Pwede na, pwede na.
Yeah, but ayun, speaking of trends, workwear is still pretty popular here in Philippines, like the Carhartt, Dunks. But it's still strong, but I can see the others are already moving on from it.
I think it's important to see I think FFP is its own little niche, actually. Like, there's a sort of, like, it has its own trends at this point. Like, I'm not saying we set trends, but the people that submit outfits to be featured or just to send fits in general, like to show it off, looks like a pattern we see now, like the boots nga and yung flared denim and everything. I just think it's really nice to see, like, wow, it's like a little ecosystem, like a little terrarium of fashion.
Nice. It's a little fashion terrarium. Okay, so we have two more. We have two more. One from Mara Guerrero, who's at Mars the Planet on Instagram. Hi, I'm looking for suggestions for affordable and sustainable local fashion brands. So I guess we can summarize stuff that have already been mentioned and maybe give a few more suggestions that you haven't had the opportunity to bring up yet.
Sustainable fashion local brands.
Off the top of my mind, not really brands, but some IG shops like Balik Tanaw, Old Classico. Hindi sila brand, but ayun, may naisip na rin ako. Si Atelier Department, upcycling ng mga old garments, then repainting, some stuff. Then Wary Studios, isa pa. He uses old clothes, tapos he will paint on it, and then ayun, yun yung mga ibang naisip ko right now.
I think brand wise, number one example would be of course, shout out to our boy CP, Construction Layers. Actually, yeah, it's actually he's one of the most active brand owners, but we don't really pinpoint on the fact that he is a brand owner. You see him as a friend to hang out with, but he has been coming up with really nice silhouettes, like Kiko inspired, I think, right, Zild? Mr. Kiko Master. But yeah, he has been coming out with a sustainable and more diverse and unique, in my opinion, anyway, set of like a collection. So go check out Construction Layers, guys.
I actually have a friend who has a sustainable fashion line. It's called Turners.mnl. She's only a second year in college, but she's had her brand since like maybe grade 12. So I think that's really awesome that she's been an advocate for slow fashion and she's really trying to promote slow fashion through actually setting up a business that sells sustainable clothing. So yeah, do check that out.
Great. So I'm sure a lot of us will be checking out these brands after the interview. So last but definitely not the least, from Miguel Toledo, who's at Migstall on Instagram. How do you think fashion will change during the post-pandemic era, especially in the country?
Parang pang Miss Universe din yung question.
Philippines!
FFT!
Thinking about it now, siguro pagbalik after ng pandemic, I think meme culture, fashion memes. I just noticed it na before kasi gumawa ko ng mga memes na the bar guy, yung like the typical outfit ng party guy na ganito sa BGC, like ganun. We haven't had, ewan ko kung nung bukas na ba ulit officially, I haven't really went out, but medyo outdated na yata yung meme na yun because I haven't seen a party guy na in a while for 2 years na ba. So I think when eventually pagtapos na ako yung COVID officially, then we'll see a new wave of memes about updated na mga starter packs ng mga iba't ibang tao. Like Lalo na sa school pagdating ng
Mm-hmm.
pag face to face na maraming schools and universities, I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of memes and other maybe subcultures that will pop up.
I think one thing's for sure is we'll all start paying attention to our pants again.
Yeah.
For sure.
For me, I think there might be two types of people. Like the first one might be people who are just going out and then going out for like a super quick grocery run or something. So maybe they just want to wear like a t-shirt, shorts, like super cozy because we've all been stuck at home for so long. So it's kind of a hassle if we have to dress up and get ready for just something as short as like a grocery run. And on the other hand, like maybe for people who miss the social scene, going out to parties and drinking, maybe they might want to dress up more fancy or more extravagant just because they hadn't had the chance to dress up like that for quite a while. So yeah, those are the two, I guess, predictions for me. Yeah.
Well, my prediction is whatever was famous, whatever was trendy on Instagram like 3 months prior prior to this return of face to face, because it is how generally fashion trends go in the Philippines. Like mostly it's just only a small subset of people, like fashion influencers in the Philippines, wear a certain style. Like for example, with the workwear phase, only like a few hundred people were wearing it. Then slowly it got popular as they started wearing these styles more, and it's basically like a wave trickled down to the masses. Now the most popular, I think, mainstream trend is workwear with the Carhartts and the Dickies and the Dunks. Yeah, that's basically whatever will be popular whenever face to face does return, which I is hopefully within the next year or so.
One anonymous question. What is one closet essential we should have?
I think bag. Mahilig ako sa bags. If you check my IG, parang halos lahat-lahat ng outfits ko may bag. I think having a bag is essential. Not really essential, pero in a way it can elevate your fit, but also it's practical.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, bag. Have a bag.
Have a bag. Okay. And
For me, maybe like a really good, well-fitting pair of pants. Just because like you think about it, your pants occupy the majority of your fit.
Yep.
So just having a good pair of pants that fits really well and is really comfortable, I think is the most important thing. And pants that have pockets for sure.
Yes. I agree with you. Pants with real pockets, not just the
real pockets.
cut
That's
up,
true.
stitched fake pockets you could actually use.
Yeah, that was my first answer because my second answer will be yeah, pants were my first answer, but I guess my second answer will be totally not biased, but a really reliable pair of shoes, like just a daily workhorse. Like think like beaters. You can just have like a pair of beaters that you can throw on, and number one should be comfy. Number two, I guess your preference. Like my beaters right now are my Jordans.
Okay.
What about your non-beaters? Do you want to show the community?
No.
Why not? We can wait.
These are my non-beaters.
I can't.
Ay, iba
Come on,
yung
you
pinaka-
have to do
Iba
like this.
pinakita.
There.
Here. These are the Rick Owens Geo baskets. Those are my non-beaters. Yun lang.
It's been a fun hour, you guys. We learned a lot about fashion, but before we go, what's next for FFT? What can we look forward to? And of course, please drop your socials and where listeners can find your community so that people can take part.
For future plans, we'll be having more FFT YouTube videos, and then we'll also be launching our TikTok. Yeah, so stay tuned for that. Long-term plans, I hope we get to have videos now will style a celebrity or someone like that. Ayun. Long-term goal lang yun, but hopefully it'll come. And then yeah, so for my socials naman, you can follow me at Instagram at Zild. Then if you wanna join the FFT Discord server, then discord.gg/FFT, and we also have a Facebook group at Filipino Fashion Talk lang. You can just search that in Facebook.
A quick shout out to all of the FFT mods. A lot of them aren't here today, but we just wanted to say super thank you to them because they're very passionate about fashion, and we couldn't have done this without them either. So yeah, shout out to all the FFT mods and the FFT members, of course.
Yes, shout out din daw kay Framechard.
Shout out kay Ian.
Shout out to Ian.
For me, garment_library.
Yes, I guess my personal socials are the Third Ray on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That's it. But I'm not really active there. But one thing you should check out is Filipino Fashion Talk, discord.gg/FFT. You can find us on Facebook, Filipino Fashion Talk, Instagram, Filipino Fashion Talk, and TikTok maybe soon. Who knows?
All right. So for those who are interested in checking those out, we will be leaving all of the links in the comment section of the Facebook Live. So do check it out and do click. So before we say goodbye to our audience and of course to our fun guests, please allow me to thank a few people first, starting with Migoy and Ian for helping me put this show together. So Ian, there's your shout out. To James and Sir Justin, who will be handling this broadcast. Once again, thank you to our wonderful audience for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. And next week, we will be starting a new month. It will be March. It will be Women's Month. So please stay tuned to see what we have in store. Now, don't miss out. Follow us on Instagram at newwave.rk to stay updated. Catch the replay on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM's Facebook page, YouTube, and Twitter Live, all of which go by at Radyo Katipunan. And don't forget that you can also listen to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. But most of all, thank you to Anne, Ray, and Zild for spending your afternoon with us and allowing us to learn a little more about fashion. I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in joining your community, and we look forward to seeing what FFT has in store. So before we go, last thoughts, last words, anything you'd like to tell the audience?
Ang init sa Pilipinas, guys.
Ayun, sige. Join our community. We don't bite. Discord.gg/FFT. Feel free to share outfits. You'll meet many people here. Iba't ibang lugar. We have members not only from Luzon, meron din sa Visayas and Mindanao. We have a lot of active members around not only around the Philippines, but meron din mga Filipinos living abroad like US and Canada. So yeah, join us. We're waiting for you there.
Don't be shy to send a message on the Discord server. We're super open and we'll be sure to reply to whatever message you guys have. Feel free to reach out to the mods as well if you guys have any questions about the community.
Madaldal kami. Dadalhin niyo lang rin kami.
Well, yes, I'm pretty sure today's episode was a peek into what happens in the Discord server. So for more of this, go check them out. So once again, this has been Max, and when it comes to what's happening, I'll serve you the facts. And this has been New Wave. We'll see you all next week. Bye!
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
If it's entertainment you crave,
catch us on New Wave.
Surfing through the latest on our shores.
Every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m.
See you there.
Radyo Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo Katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.